Can you hear me now? Sorry, Kim is my savior always. Dang, that's such a bummer. All right. How about now? Okay, take two. If you're watching this on the replay, thanks for doing it. And hey, look, we got a bunch of comments to get us going in the beginning. So we'll start over and then maybe I'll trim this afterwards. Thanks, guys. Look at that. I just got all flushed. Woo, made me nervous. I know, I'm going to start over. I think I was traveling last week. I was in Spain, and anytime I travel and you unplug everything from your computer and then you plug it all back in again, I think that's part of the problem. So, hopefully if you started watching this, you made it through to the beginning or made it through to now. We'll start over. So take two. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. As always, I do these lives about once a month here on YouTube. I go live almost weekly in my community and in locals. And I just figured I can obviously answer if you're feeling stuck, if you're wanting some inspiration, I'm happy to talk through that. But I figured at least tonight I would start off with talking through some of my own recent weight loss. I had posted a before and after picture from January 2nd to February 2nd were some pictures that I took myself, and just showing like the recent weight loss that I've had. I posted that here on YouTube and Instagram and got a lot of questions saying like, what did you do? What did you change? What's happening? And so I figured we could start with talking through that. And then I'm obviously always happy to answer any questions that you have and hopefully like get you started. We can wrap up February, kick off March. Like it's not too late. The summer's coming. My family's going on vacation next week and I have like been packing my shorts and bathing suits and all the things. So summer is right around the corner. I know I feel like 90% of the country is still under snow, but it's very warm here in Arizona. I think most of you know, but my husband, Chris, and I started a carnivore diet back in 2018. We actually started keto at first, just because back then that's what everybody was doing. And then once we heard about carnivore within a few months, we had switched over and we're like fully committed to carnivore. And in the meantime, like in that first year of doing carnivore and fasting, I lost 120 pounds. My husband, Chris, reversed his type 2 diabetes. He lost over 100 pounds. Like we both just were transformed. And I would say that like maintaining that was fairly easy simply because we were just like so radically motivated. And we were just in the groove. We were working and just kind of doing the same thing over and over again. And really had all of our focus on like health and weight loss. And I think that is sustainable for only a shortish period of time. I would say like 2 years, we just like put our heads down and only thing we focused on was like improving our health and staying fit. Yeah. And like losing weight and all that kind of stuff. And then, right around 2020, when the world shut down, all of a sudden our routines changed. We couldn't go to the gym anymore. Like we were home all the time. Stress was changing. And so we obviously I think that's when things shifted for me. I've been pretty open. Like back in 2020, I gained a big chunk of weight back. I lost it all again, still doing carnivore. And then have really just been like ever since figuring out like, how do I live a normal life? How do I go on vacation? I travel for work. I've been on have been in 2026. I've been gone more than I've been home so far this year, and we're at the end of February. And so we have to be able to kind of like live our normal life. So I still have setbacks. Like I still have times where I might gain weight or things that happen, but I am getting better at recognizing why that happens, how it happens, and understanding like what changes I need to make in order to lose that weight and get back to my baseline and get back to where I'm feeling best, which is kind of right where I am right now. Like the weight that I am right now is like where I feel most comfortable. It's where I just like enjoy being. I feel the best. My diet, like just all the things kind of operate the best here. Staying here is the hard part. So we're going to talk about that tonight. I will talk to you about like changes that I made and walk you through what that looks like. And then obviously as we go along, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. But, before we get started, I want to just let you know that this video is sponsored by Element. I drink Element every single day. I drink the electrolyte packets every day. I have traveled all over the world. Even this year so far, I've been all over the place, and I'm always taking these little packets with me. Especially like traveling, exercise, sweating. I've been so much better about exercising. Staying hydrated is really key in helping me to overcome jet lag, to recover from exercise, to get proper sleep. If I don't take these electrolyte packets for a couple of days, I start to get constipated. Like my digestive system doesn't really handle things as well unless I'm having regular electrolytes. So if you want to keep it, I don't have one in front of me, but if you want to keep it 100% super strict carnivore, they have unflavored versions, which are literally just sodium, magnesium, and potassium. And they, taste like a little mineral water that you're going to be having. So if you water it down enough, it's not going to taste too salty. But if you don't want any sweeteners, no sweet taste of anything, that's going to be my recommendation. But if you are somebody who tolerates sweeteners well, if you like a little flavor, if you want a little sweet treat in the afternoons, we love the sweetened versions as well. They're sweetened with stevia. I think our family's favorite has got to be like lemonade salt. We also love like citrus. If you're not somebody who wants like sweet flavor, I swear like all of my carnivore and keto friends and family, like the citrus, the lemonade, the ones that are like a little more like mix of salty sweet. And then anybody I know who I have like friends at church and friends at work, they all love the watermelon, the raspberry. Those are going to be more like stronger sweet flavor. So if you love something sweet and you want a sweet drink, it still is sweetened with stevia. It's like not going to spike your blood sugar. You can use it while fasting, all that good stuff. And then you guys know we really love the, cans as well, the sparkling 12-ounce cans. Like those are the perfect size for my little afternoon. Like usually I go to the saunas after I'm done working for the day. And I'll take one of those cans, the 12-ounce sparkling cans as well. And it just like gives me a little bit, I don't need a whole second packet, but it gives me it's like equivalent to half a packet, which is great. So, yeah, let me know what your favorite flavors are. The watermelon is amazing. Yeah. If you are missing something, and I think like my kids love the ones that are a little bit more sweet tasting as well. So super pumped. Yeah. Okay. Let's jump back into it. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you to Element for sponsoring this video. And now let's jump in and hang out. Okay. So, this is a good question. I'm going to circle back and let's talk about the weight loss stuff. So have you had any recent blood work done? Asking because there are people on the other side saying that it's bad for a person long-term. I've been eating carnivore for a few weeks. So I do try to get blood work done once a year. And I typically do a video here and then share all my results just for transparency purposes. I do have a video within the last year where I talk through here's my top, if you're going to go get blood work done, here are the top 5 or 6 things that I personally check that would be good ideas to get checked, or a lot of the carnivore doctors and stuff get checked. And I kind of talk through what ideal ranges are, not necessarily the standard American, the traditional recommended ranges, but what optimal ranges I'm looking for are personally. Also, my husband was previously type 2 diabetic, and he does not get blood work nearly as often because he doesn't do as many. He does videos with me sometimes, but he hasn't done any in a couple of years. He actually just got blood work done this week. And so some of the numbers that people are nervous about on carnivore are cholesterol, or you mentioned, people who say it's bad for you talk about your A1C going up. So he's somebody who previously had an 11 point something A1C, and then it went all the way down to 4.9 within his first year of being carnivore. So he's shared that, but it's been a couple of years since he did that. So maybe we'll put out a video soon talking about his blood work and recent changes. But yeah, I do keep up with it and try to share publicly once a year just for that same reason. Obviously I'm a one experiment kind of person, but I just want to be transparent about that kind of stuff. So yeah, there you go. Also, I mentioned this already, but I have a community where you can join for free, or if you want to be involved and watch live streams, it's like $10 a month, mainly just to like keep out the trolls. My husband, Chris, is like super involved in that group as well. So you always can come hang out over there. And he is much more involved there. He's not on any social media. He's not really involved anywhere other than in that group, especially like if I'm traveling, he jumps in. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. I would say in the last 2 years, I talked about this on a video kind of recently and in the caption of that post, but I really suck at maintenance. Okay. Like just staying the same weight all the time for me is like very difficult, mainly because I don't track my calories every day. I don't track my macros every day. I think obviously if you're really careful with how much and what you're eating and like tracking your perfect ratios and portions every day, you're going to stay the same weight every day, especially if your activity level stays the same, your calories, your ratios, like all of that's the same. It's pretty easy to stay the same weight. I don't want to do that all the time. I don't want to track my calories every day. I want to just like eat intuitively. And yet somehow that part of me is kind of broken. So what tends to happen with me over the years is that I tend to just like relax a little, meaning staying carnivore, but just like don't worry about my eating times or my macros and don't track things. And then over time, I kind of tend to just like gain and gain and gain. And then eventually I'll like go beast mode, which is get super strict. And then I end up losing that weight. So like it's easier for me to be in weight loss mode or don't think about it mode. And I don't really know how to like do in between very much. So what's interesting is about 1.5 years ago, I had kind of done the same thing where I had like gained a little weight and I had like kept it on for like a while and I couldn't really get that weight to budge again. And so I posted some videos back then about how about some changes I made and lost that weight. I'm trying to like take a step back and think how to explain this, but that was the complete opposite as to what I did now. So I'm going to walk you through right this second about what I did to lose weight now. The problem that I have in sharing this and why I didn't just come right out and make a video and say, these are the 3 things that I did in order to lose weight is because the only way that's going to work for you is if your context is the same as mine. Okay. If you message me right now in this chat and you just say, hey, I want to lose weight. What should I do? Okay. If you ask anybody that question, if they immediately start answering, this is like my little soapbox. Okay. If you message somebody, anybody, ask a coworker, ask a friend, ask an influencer, ask a carnivore expert. If you say, I want to lose 20 pounds, what should I do? If they start giving you a solution immediately on what you should do, you need to run far away. Okay. Because the problem is there could be 2 drastically different things that you need to do in order to lose weight. The only way, like, and that is going to depend on like what you were doing beforehand. Okay. So there's 2 situations that I tend to get myself in. And if I need that cause me to gain weight. And if I need to lose weight, I have to do 2 opposite things depending on what that situation was. So for instance, when I am under eating for too long. This is a very common thing with carnivore. Carnivore food is very satiating. You've been under eating for so long. You're just not really giving your body enough fuel and enough calories. This happened to me about 1.5 years ago. I had been stuck at about like 15, 20 pounds higher in weight. I couldn't seem to get it off. So I made some videos on here talking about the fact that like I had to ramp up my calories, ramp up my fat intake slightly, not to the extreme, but I made a video with my husband, Chris, and we talked through like what change I was making in order to lose weight. And that was to increase my fat intake, really increase my calories overall in order for my metabolism to ramp up. So it was a slight reverse diet situation, right? I had been restricting for too long and under eating for too long that it caused my metabolism to like really slow down. This is a hard, like, yes, calories matter in order to lose weight. And the calorie purists are going to hate this conversation because they're like, you don't need to eat more to lose weight. You have to lower your calories to lose weight. Yes, actually, right? Like eating more is not actually why I then lost weight. Eating more, right? Eating more of the correct things, eating more fat, and helped my body to burn more fat, which helps my metabolism to increase, right? The problem is with calorie restriction, which inevitably I believe in, right? You have to eat less calories than you burn in order to lose weight. But the problem with under eating is that eventually, if you're eating 1,500 calories a day, 1,500, and this is a deficit for you, eventually your body's going to go, oh, she's only going to give me 1,500 calories. Like, we better slow down energy burning to only burn 1,500 calories, which is why then you got to go down to like 1,200 calories. And then eventually your body's like, hey, we need to slow down even more in order to not burn all this energy because she's not giving us enough energy. Well, then the problem is you got to cut down to like 1,000 calories a day. Well, your body needs like 1,200 calories a day just to function, to keep your hair, to keep your hormones, to like keep the lights on, as a lot of the experts say. So the problem is the more and the more and the more you restrict your calories, the more you then, I personally start having hormone issues. My hair starts falling out. Like, I start having like sleep issues, fatigue issues, the more we restrict our calories. So eating more doesn't actually make you lose weight, but eating more fat tells your body, right? Eating more whole foods fat, eating more animal fats really ramps up that metabolism in a sense, because it's telling your body like, hey, here's fuel to burn. We're going to start burning more fat. We're going to start burning. I got more energy. I can burn at a higher level. And you kind of start pulling that baseline metabolism up. And then once you're up here burning a good amount of calories a day, then it's like, oh, I can fast a day. I could restrict a little bit. I could calorie cut a day. And then next thing you know, you're losing weight by eating more calories. Like, maybe now you're eating 2,000 calories a day and you're losing weight when before you weren't losing weight at 1,200 calories, right? It's not because you're eating more. It's because I have like boosted up my metabolism, ramped up my metabolism by giving my body more fuel. So a year and a half ago, that's what I had to do. I was eating too lean, too much dairy. I was restricting for too long. Anytime I go through these like weight loss periods, the problem is it's so easy for me to stay in these modes that I tend to like stay in it for too long. And over time, I kind of like gain a little bit of weight. So if you have been, this is the thing. If I had to tell you, like, if you came to me and said, I need to lose 20 pounds or 50 pounds or something, I would have so many questions for you first. It would be like, okay, how much are you eating? What are you eating? Are you eating carbs? Are you eating vegetables? Are you like, how much fat and protein are you eating? How many total calories are you eating? Right. And if in the course of that conversation, I find out that you've been under eating, or eating too lean, or eating too much dairy, or just like not giving your body proper fuel, my conversation and my advice to you is going to be like, all right, we got to ramp up your whole animal food fat intake slightly, right? Doesn't mean you eat a jar of tallow. It just means you eat a ribeye, you eat chicken with the skin on it. We eat pork belly. We eat like fattier cuts of meat. We eat chuck roasts. We need to give our body more fuel in order for us to lose weight. So that's that conversation, right? However, the conversation is totally opposite if you've been eating carbs, if you've been eating in excess, if you've been eating 4,000 calories or 3,000 calories a day. Like, if you're eating way too much food, or if you're eating carbs, right? Or if you're eating inflammatory foods, or if you're eating way too much dairy, then my conversation for you is going to be like, all right, let's get rid of the carbs. Obviously, let's get rid of the fruit. Let's get rid of the yogurt. Let's get rid of the milk. Let's get rid of the heavy cream. Let's, then we can talk about like simplifying, restricting, and cleaning things up. I'm not going to have this conversation to you about like boosting up your fat intake if we've been eating in excess, right? We're going to talk more about like, maybe we do some fasting because your body has been getting an excess amount of fat and fuel and calories for a while. So we need to like pare things down again. So my January to February, what happened? I was eating too much. So if you look at me through like October, November, December, I was traveling a lot. I was not fasting at all. I was eating way too much dairy. I was snacking too much. Like I just had gotten kind of lazy in my approach, and I had slowly gained weight over a few months. And then especially like once the holidays came, I just like didn't really worry about that kind of stuff. And obviously that led to some weight gain. So what did I do in January that had me lose weight and inflammation and water weight in January is I went like beast mode, right? And beast mode is, as I think, is just the way that in my locals community, we just talk about like you're being really, really strict. Okay. So beast mode for me is more fasting, almost no dairy, like minimal cheese, like very, very, I track my calories. I am very strict on my eating windows. I'm basically doing no processed meats, no deli meats, no pepperonis, nothing like that. I am doing like a 48-hour fast, probably once a week. At least I did in that January when I lost weight, I did one 3 times in the month of January. It's basically just like be really strict. Okay. But that can't that's the point. Like that can look different for everybody. And then I'm going to kind of wrap up and then like, please put some questions in there, whatever questions you have, I can kind of like sort back through. But for me, that's obviously what I do. Like I increase exercise and all those good things. Now, at the end of the day, my biggest advice is, I have like these beast mode goals, which is around like fasting and calories and all these different things. But there were days that I like was traveling or something else was going on. And like my fasting window wasn't perfect for beast mode, or I had some cheese on a burger patty because I was eating out. So like there were days that weren't perfect beast mode, but I focus on having this like one non-negotiable, which is like stay carnivore. So there was sometimes recently where I was traveling for work and I had a work dinner and so for last week, I was in Madrid for my job and I had dinner at night. In Madrid, they eat dinner at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. So I sat down and had dinner with a group of people at 9:30 at night. And obviously I could have just not eaten. But I chose that like, okay, whatever, I'm going to eat. Now, did that mean I was no longer in beast mode? Like, not really. Like, I don't call that a failure because what I ate was a steak and some pork belly. So for me, I'm just like, as long as I stay carnivore and have my like one non-negotiable goal, I don't worry too much about like every single day being perfect, right? This is my whole concept of don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Sometimes I love a beast mode challenge. I'm going to just do everything I'm going to exercise and fast and no dairy and perfect macros and do all this stuff for 30 days, which is great. And if you want to lose weight fast, like that's kind of the approach to take is you just got to go like really hardcore. The problem is that if one of those components or one of those elements, we don't exercise for a day. And then it's like, well, I didn't exercise today. So like, I might as well eat something bad, or, I had cheese and I was supposed to have no dairy. So I might as well go eat fruit, or I might as well go eat a cookie, right? Like we don't have to make it worse on ourselves. So as long as you just have this like one core goal, to me, that's how I've been able to like maintain consistency over time, because while I have these goals that are like beast mode and that kind of stuff, like I really only hold myself accountable to the one core goal, right? So, Susan, this kind of goes along with, can I fast too much? Like, yes, absolutely. Now, this is what I'm saying. If I were to give you if you came to me and said, I want to lose 20 pounds, what should you do? And my response is like, you should go beast mode. Here's how I did it. You should do 48-hour fasts. You should cut out dairy. You should check your macros. You need to have this protein. Well, if you've been under eating, right? Think about what I was talking about earlier. If you came to me, Susan, and said, should I do 48-hour fast? And I'm like, yeah, that's a great way to lose weight. Go for it. Well, if you're in my situation of like, oh, I've been eating excess lately, 48-hour fasts are a great tool to lower your blood sugar, to lose weight, to break a stall, that kind of stuff. It's my favorite lever, actually. Like I would much rather just do a fast than, something else. The problem is if you have been in that restriction zone, right? I was talking about earlier, we're already restricting our calories. We're already not doing, like, we're stalled, but we're already not fueling our bodies enough and our metabolism is slowing down. The problem is when you add fasting on top of it, right? This is why fasting gets a bad rap, because your body is underfueled and it's undernourished. And then you're starving it on top of it, right? Fasting is not starving unless your body's already undernourished and under fueled. If your body's already starving and you add more fasting, your body's going to be even more starving. But if your body is ramped up, it's burning calories great, your metabolism's running great, your energy's great, and everything's good, and my metabolism's ramped up to here, and it's zooming, and I'm doing great, and then you add a fasting day, your metabolism's going to keep up here, and then you're like, woo, I didn't eat today. We lose a little weight, we go back up again the next day, and we keep eating, right? Like, I don't know why I do all these arm motions, but if you're like my metabolism's ramped up, my body's fueled, everything's good, my hormones are good, my sleep is good, fasting is my perfect favorite lever to use in order to lose weight. I have fasted too much in the past, right? Early on, back in 2019, I was at my thinnest weight. I was eating, basically, I was doing 2 48-hour fasts a week. I was eating 1 meal a day on the other days that I wasn't fasting, which essentially means that I was eating like 5 meals per week. And those meals were like a pound or a pound and a half of steak, right? Let's talk about how many calories that is for the week. Not a lot. So yes, of course, I was under eating even on carnivore because I was fasting too much. I still really love fasting. I was doing it too much for, number one, how thin I was at the time. For number two, and most importantly, how much I was eating on my non-fasting days. So how often can you fast? How much are you eating on your non-fasting days? That's the big thing. You just want to make sure that you are not undernourishing your body consistently over time. And adding a fast in occasionally, listen, my mom often speaks. My mom also has done a lot of this. She, if you want to, like, she had been carnivore, like went keto, went carnivore, but still could not get off of her diabetes medication fully until she started incorporating those 36-hour, 48-hour fasts. And that was how, like, so if you're trying to lower your blood sugar, lower your A1C, reverse your diabetes, fasting is a great tool. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. But yeah, so isn't fasting, 48-hour fast, slowing your metabolism? Not if you use them occasionally. And most importantly, not if you are fueling your body properly the rest of the time, right? If you start doing 48-hour fast and you're in like a calorie deficit already, and then you keep fasting and you're just slamming that metabolism down and down and down because you're never refueling your body enough to like keep that metabolism at a higher level. And obviously, I'm sure there's like very smart people and like very scientific people out there that are thinking I sound like an idiot, but like in my very simple non-expert brain, like that's the way that I think about it. So if I find, like, back a year and a half ago, Chris and I made those videos where I had to like increase my calories, increase my fat intake. I was not doing fasting back then, like other than like a, 18-hour intermittent fasting window in the day or something. Like I would eat 2 meals a day or something. But I wasn't doing a 24, 36, or 48-hour fast back then because my body wasn't getting enough nourishment like previously. So that's why I'm like so careful if somebody just pops in and was like, hey, I'm really stalled, I need to lose 40 more pounds. Like, what do I do? Well, I got about 10 questions for you first. And a lot of that is me assessing like, what's happening right now? Do we need to just like be more consistent, cut out the carbs, cut out the fruit, cut out the yogurt, cut out the cottage cheese? Like, sorry, all those are keeping you fat. Cut out all of those things in order to be more consistent. Do we need to like be strict, add fasting, and kind of like bring everything down again? Or is your body just really undernourished and underfueled? And do we need to add more fat, add more food, don't do less fasting? Like, not everybody. Okay, this is my little soapbox again too. Like, this is a long rant already, guys. Sorry, but this is why many people, not everybody, and I think, first of all, I think people, carnivores who like add back in carbs, first of all, I don't care. I don't think you need to stay carnivore forever. Not everybody needs to stay carnivore forever. If you don't have to, why would you? If you can moderate other foods, who can go for it? Obviously, nobody needs to be eating like processed junk food. But if people enjoy eating other foods and they just happen to be carbs and they can physically handle it and they can mentally handle it, like, go for it. Who cares? I'm not your police. Like, do what you want to do. But the message sometimes of like, I was feeling so terrible on carnivore and I added back in carbs and like now I have energy and my hormones are great and everything's going well now. And like I finally feel revitalized from adding back in carbs. It's not the carbs that has kind of brought you back to life again. It is the energy. Your body needs energy. And on a carnivore diet, that energy is fat. And if you are eating hamburger meat and pork chops and chicken without the skin, even if it's chicken thighs without the skin, if you're eating eggs, if those are your fuel sources, you are not giving your body enough fat, enough energy in order to sustain your hormones, to give you good sleep, to keep your weight loss going, to have just energy throughout the day. And so obviously, if your body is being starved of energy, fat, and then you add in energy, carbs, you will automatically feel better. You will have more energy because you are finally giving your body energy. And that, I'm not trying to say like anybody like was doing carnivore wrong. I'm just saying you have to give your body energy. And if you're under fueling your body from a carnivore diet by not eating enough fat in terms of like fatty meat, then when you add in carbs, that's why you all of a sudden have more energy, because carbs are a great energy, quick burning energy source. So I think that's kind of the thing we have to check in for ourselves. And if you're like not losing weight or you're not feeling great or you're not having good energy or you're like, we are not giving our bodies likely enough fuel. And so we need to focus, look at your food. I'm sorry, like even if you drink the fat from rendered fat from a ground beef is very lean. You know, like you have to strategically, I don't eat plain, I don't sit there and eat like plain fat. You have to give your body more energy. And like, sorry, I got distracted, but like focus on, you know, fattier cuts of meat in general. So good question too. Nicole says, now, will you put on weight when you first start eating more? So I don't think you should. I think sometimes there's also this conception of like, if I'm gaining weight on carnivore, that's just your body healing. And like at some point you're just going to eat more and more and more and gain weight. And then all of a sudden, like a flip switches in your brain and you magically are healed. And then all of a sudden you lose weight again. Like, I don't believe that at all. I think that's a lot of empty promises. Okay. So like the difference is, I don't think you should go from eating like 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 calories a day, right? If you're under eating, to all of a sudden eating like 3,000 calories a day. Because first of all, you're going to be physically uncomfortable. You're going to be mentally really struggling, and you probably will end up gaining a bunch of weight. Like, I don't love any, like, this sounds so funny coming from somebody who's on a carnivore diet, but I don't love any extreme. I don't love extreme under eating. I don't love extreme protein sparing modified fasts for a long period of time. I don't love any extreme overeating. I don't love this, like, force yourself to eat till you're sick for 2 weeks and then somehow that's going to like, I don't love that. I don't love eating 2 sticks of butter a day. Like, I don't love these extremes. I think, hey, if I've been under eating for a while and I'm not losing weight and I've been eating too lean, I love going from eating ground beef to eating a ribeye, from eating chicken thighs with no skin to eating chicken thighs with the skin, from eating pork chops to eating pork belly. Like, I like small, sustainable, realistic changes. And when I have done that, I might gain 3 or 4 pounds. And then I start losing it again. But like, there is a sudden energy change and a sudden inflammation change and a sudden digestive change, like especially if I'm eating too lean, I tend to eat too much dairy because my body is looking for fuel and like it ends up craving dairy as a replacement for that. So should you need to gain 20 pounds in order to heal so that you can lose that weight? No, I don't think so personally. I think it shouldn't be quite that extreme. I think we need to make smaller, more realistic changes. And I think that like in those few changes, you might see a very short-term few pounds up. But again, you shouldn't, how do I know what changes I need to make? Well, at some point you might have to track. I don't think if everything's going well and you're losing weight and you're feeling good and like, if it ain't broke, don't go looking for problems. Okay. So don't go tracking your calories all the time just because somebody on the internet told you needed some perfect ratio. Like if you feel good and you're losing weight and you're having no issues, don't worry about it. You're doing great. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. If that's working for you, good, keep doing it. But if you want to make changes in order to lose weight or to heal or to do something, if you're like stuck, you don't know what changes you should be making until you know, like, how much are you eating, how much fat, how much protein, how many calories, etc. So if you check your calories and you realize like, dang, yesterday I had 800 calories and today I had 1,000 and 2 days before that it was 1,100. Like you shouldn't just jump in and start eating 3,000 calories a day overnight. Just add a snack. Add an extra meal. Like in some weird ways, the more you eat, the more exercise you do, actually, like the more your metabolism will ramp up and the more your appetite will ramp up. So, add a little snack, add a little meal, extra meal. And then next thing you know, your like body is going to get used to having that. And then within a short period of time, you'll realize like, oh, now I'm eating 1,800 calories a day. And it's not that hard. Like, I don't want you to sit there and like force yourself to eat. Like, to me, that's like only perpetuating some disordered eating that we've all probably had in the past, especially if you're any type of like overeater like me. So I've been gaining lately. You answered all of my questions already. Good. Love what you do. Thank you. So I would say thank you again for this. Thank you also for the super chat. I really appreciate it. So I would ask like I'm going to try to find your response. What change based on this conversation? Like what is one thing that you can do differently in order to see a different result moving forward? Okay. I do, I guess this is like side note, random fun fact. I work a normal corporate job. I work for a software company. I do a lot of like training and coaching and things like that in that company. And a lot of the things that I teach on there is like teaching feedback models or like teaching managers, like how do we deliver feedback? And the feedback model that we focus on is we focus on first and foremost, right? I'm going to observe you taking a sales call. And then at the end of that sales call, I'm going to ask you like, okay, what do you think you did well? And this is also in my, community groups. We do this as a reflection of our month. So at the end of every month, it's important to kind of sit there and reflect and say, what went well this month? This was an area I lost this weight. I did this great. I made this new recipe. Like what were the things that went well? It's important to reflect on that because we need to keep doing the things that are going well in order to make sure that we reinforce those good positive behaviors. So then we can keep doing them. It's just human nature for us to go, oh, I failed in this area. Here's what I did wrong. I did all these things. And we just like, you're like a motorcycle going down the road. If you stare at the potholes, you're going to drive into the potholes, right? So before we can focus on where did I get stuck and what can I do differently next year, which are kind of the 3 questions that we reflect on, we first have to say what went well. So we can take a moment to be positive and reflect on that. So we focus on what went well. And then we focus on where were you getting stuck? I don't feel good. My weight loss is stalled. I'm having loose stools. Like this is where I'm really stuck. And then we kind of take a second and say, okay, what can we do differently in order to get a different result? Oh man, every weekend I keep binging. I have this junk food, or like every Friday they bring donuts to the office break room and I always end up eating donuts. It's just 2 Fridays this month. I had a donut because they were in the break room. Great. So what can we do differently? We know this pothole is there. So rather than just let me stare at you, right? Stare at the donuts in the break room on Fridays and know that the more I stare at it, if you're a motorcycle, you're going to just like drive into the pothole. How can we divert our gaze? How can we refocus? How can we change our behavior to not have that same mistake happen each time? So we know we're getting stuck. I fell off the wagon again. I'm stalled. I'm doing this. Like, what do I do? How can I avoid making those same mistakes again? Because let's be honest, the ways that we get set back, those temptations that we tend to cave to, they're probably the same. At the root of them all, it's because of stress. It's because of loneliness. It's because just the food is really tempting and it's like access to food is right in front of us. Like, what is causing us to slip up or to get off track or just to gain weight? Like, is it one bite of food or is it the whole weekend or what's going on? Like, I don't know. I'm kind of getting off track now, but yeah, Kim's in my group. She said, don't get me started on those sardine fast and egg fest. Yeah, we save those for behind the paywall when I don't, people are used to my rants more. Okay. Maybe you touched on this before I joined. Any ideas how to lower cholesterol? My total is well over 400. My doctor wants to see me first thing Monday. So, I cannot give you medical advice. Personally, my husband and my cholesterols have both been like, mine has been 250-ish. Chris's has been like 300-ish. I wouldn't worry about my personal cholesterol unless my triglycerides were over 100. And then I want my HDL triglyceride ratio. What is it? Like, you guys probably know, like you divide your HDL by your triglycerides, something like I personally wouldn't worry as much about my LDL. So your total cholesterol actually tells you nothing. And your doctor has a chart that if your total cholesterol is above a certain number, they give you a statin. It's just based on the standard of care and their liability issues, they have to offer you a statin if your cholesterol is over a certain total number. But what's insane is that total number doesn't actually indicate anything about your health. Like, there are so many studies that show that women especially thrive more through menopause and live longer with higher LDLs. Okay. Cholesterol gets scary when your triglycerides are high, when your HDL gets out of control. So watching your HDL and your triglycerides are key, but that LDL, listen, I'm not saying there's no limit to how high it can go, but I personally wouldn't be as concerned unless it was my triglycerides and then my HDL that were kind of out of whack. And I would look up like Dr. Ben Bickman. I don't know if Chris is watching this. Who's the other person? There's like a cholesterolcode.com website that I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now. He always talks about there's a ratio calculator. So if you go to cholesterolcode.com, you can input your cholesterol numbers into this calculator, and then it will tell you what the actual risk is. And it's taking into effect your triglycerides, your HDL, and all that kind of stuff. So that is personally what I would do before I would jump in. Also, there is a book by Dr. Phil Ovadia, who isn't necessarily carnivore. He does a carnivore diet. He talks a lot about like whole foods, keto, low fat or high fat, low carb diets. He has a book called he's a heart surgeon, and he has a book called How to Stay Off My Operating Table. And it's all about like heart disease and cholesterol. And he talks a lot about like big fluffy particles and all the other good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. So if you really are concerned, I would get that book. So Dr. Phil Ovadia, Ovaida, I think. And I personally would dig into something like that. So yeah. So if your triglycerides and your HDL were in those normal ranges, then great. You are good to go. Dave Feldman. There you go. Thank you. Chris is here. That's Dave Feldman. Appreciate it. Yeah. So triglycerides, again, I can't give you medical advice, but triglycerides for me, so if those were my numbers, triglycerides might be a little high. My question then would be like, how long have you been doing this? And because it is common for like in the very beginning for cholesterol to go up just a little bit. Typically high triglycerides means like some inflammation. So I would like make sure you're having 0 seed oils in order to bring those triglycerides down. Like one of the best ways is to make sure, like, I would be super strict with seed oils, make sure you're only cooking with animal fats and all that good stuff. And that can be really helpful. So, yeah, I agree. Like with Kim, like I personally would say like, all right, well, I'm going to checking in 3 months and see if my triglycerides are trending down. I think actually like standard American numbers tell you that your triglycerides can be under 150. I just know that like most carnivores are hoping for them to be under 100. Yeah, so this is it. Dairy is a huge trigger for me. Totally. Hi, Terry. Good to see you. Dairy is a trigger for me as well. And I would say this, like dairy has a small amount of, like, I know people talk about like the addictive forms of dairy, but in a lot of ways, like, and it can cause inflammation and all that stuff, but dairy also like has some carbs in it. And so essentially like you're eating too much dairy, you're giving your body like quick burning carbs essentially, right? Like it's almost like eating some kind of like sugar or carbs. And so it's almost taking you out of that true fat burning mode, and your body has to process that dairy. And so that can like increase your carb cravings. It can have you cause more dairy for you. Like it can almost kind of like spiral you out of control. And I think that's very true for a lot of people. Not only like, I can't be trusted with string cheese, unless I'm traveling and I have a limited amount of them. They're really easy to travel with, so I do take them for that. But like, you know, there was times back in 2020 where like I would eat a whole pack of string cheese in a day. Like for some reason, like every 20 minutes I'd be in the fridge eating a piece of string cheese. And so, you know, like that's like 100 calories a piece of cheese. So then I'm eating like an extra 1,000 calories a day. Like you could put on weight really quickly doing that. I also had a conversation, like there's a lady at our church who they have baby goats. So we went over and like saw some like 5-day-old baby goats the other day, and she has raw goat's milk that she sells and was offering it to our family. And we kind of got into it. I was like, my kids probably are weird and they don't drink milk at all. So like, I think if you're not trying to lose weight, if you're not diabetic, I think a raw goat's milk, a raw like cow's milk were fantastic. Great. Enjoy those. Chris and I just both don't need that amount of like carbs and calories. And my kids just don't really, they only drink water. Or those elements, they're just not used to like drinking anything else besides that. So I was like, hey, I love that. Our family just doesn't really have any use for it. And if you're an active person, if you're an athlete, if you're a kid, like, you know, you're energetic, have some raw milk and that's great. It's technically carnivore. But if you are overweight, you have high blood sugar, you're trying to reverse your type 2 diabetes, like you shouldn't be drinking milk. You shouldn't be having cottage cheese. I know cottage cheese is really popular right now. Stop eating it. It is not actually high protein for what you're getting for the calories, right? Eat meat instead. I promise you it'll make a huge difference. Like I know cottage cheese is so popular. I'm really sorry to break your heart. Stop eating cottage cheese if you're trying to lose weight. Think about like, I saw this baby goat that was 5 days old, and it actually was like a chunk. Okay. I have pictures. It was like a heavy, large goat. It had grown. I mean, they came out kind of big, but like, think about cows. They gain 800 pounds in their first year. And what are they eating? They're drinking milk. Think about human babies, right? Like milk from a cow or a goat or a human is designed to make babies fat quickly. And if you are drinking milk, if you are having yogurt, even if it's whole fat, Greek 0%, perfect yogurt, whatever the trendy yogurts are right now, it is designed to make babies fat quickly and grow cows from very small creatures to 1,000-pound animals within a year or two. So what do you think that that's doing to you, right? It's going to spike your glucose. It's going to spike your blood sugar. Like it's carbs, and it's going to make you gain weight. So just my suggestion. What do you think of garlic on carnivore? So this is like, love this question because is it carnivore? No. Do I eat garlic? Yeah, a lot. I eat a lot of garlic. Now, does some people, is this garlic going to cause them issues? Maybe. It might cause you like some skin issues or gut issues. Like if you're really sick, you are not going to be able to tolerate spices technically, right? So those are things like I always have like two questions that I ask myself, like when somebody's asking, like, can I eat this? So this goes for milk and garlic and avocados and fruit and sweet potatoes, whatever. Does this food negatively affect me? So does it cause me a reaction? Does it cause me constipation or bloating? Does it cause me rashes? Does it cause me like super bad? I saw somebody mentioning like they were eating sardines and they were having sardine burps. So does this food make you burp uncontrollably? So does this food negatively affect you? Yes or no? And then does this food help me hit my goals? So does garlic negatively affect me? No, I have no issues with garlic. Does garlic help me hit my goals? Actually, probably. It's gives me a lot of variety and flavor and I enjoy it. It's like not going to trigger me to have anything negative. Like, so yeah, I'm going to eat garlic personally. Like I said, I saw somebody mention sardines makes them burp. So does sardines negatively affect you? Yes. So don't eat them, right? Are sardines carnivore? Absolutely. Do a lot of carnivores love sardines? Yes, but they negatively affect you. So stop eating them. Same for milk, same for yogurt, same for cottage cheese, like those things. Now, does fruit negatively affect me? No. I don't have any bad reaction. I don't have high blood sugar. I'm not a diabetic. Like fruit does not negatively affect me. But does fruit help me hit my goals? Unfortunately, no. Because a cup of blueberries turns into the whole container of blueberries, turns into a bunch of whipped cream. And the next thing you know, I'm eating blueberry cobblers a la mode. Like I aspire, and then I'm just eating Oreos. Like it's just like a nasty, out of control, embarrassing moment. Okay. So does fruit help me hit my goals? No, because it is going to trigger me to kind of spiral out of control. And it's very psychotic and embarrassing. So those are kind of the things when it comes to seasonings, fermented foods. Some people love fermented foods, right? So I love a salad. I miss it. I love a salad. Have I been known to eat a salad over the last 8 years? Yes. Scandalous. I have done it. Okay. But does that food negatively affect me? Yes. I end up bloated. I look like I'm 7 months. I look bloated. I get constipated. Like it once is going to bloat me up for a day or two. If I do it more than once, I'm going to be a wreck. It is going to cause me major digestive issues. Like it's going to cause me a lot of problems. So I know, Kim, I'm kicked out. I'm totally kicked out. Okay. But that's how I feel about a lot of that stuff. So what about mushrooms? Okay. Let's ask the two questions. Everybody here is different. Ask yourself those two questions. Does this food negatively affect me? Actually, me, no. Does mushrooms help me hit my goals? Actually, maybe yes or no. I've had a mushroom. I used to eat a lot of mushrooms back in the day. I don't really now just because we don't really buy them, but I think couple times maybe when my mom's been here for like a holiday, or we were like at my grandparents' house and we were like cooking for a huge crowd, maybe we'd like roast up some mushrooms. I've eaten a mushroom occasionally, not regularly, because just there's no reason to buy them and have them around and nobody else is going to eat them but me. So eat them up. If mushrooms don't negatively affect you and they help you hit your goals, sure, eat a mushroom. Who cares? Cool. Good question. So I got about 5 minutes left. I was carnivore B&E mostly, which is beef, butter, bacon, eggs for 2 years, been off the diet for 2 years, going back on the diet next week. Should I just start back up like I never stopped? Great question. I would say yes and no. So yes, I think that should be your mindset, is like, go back to what you were doing before. The only difference is give yourself a little bit of flexibility in the sense that like when you're first starting out again, you might need to eat more than you used to. You're probably not going to be able to fast as much as you did in the end, right? Like I can fast right now pretty easily, but when I was first starting, like remember, fasting is a muscle. And so your body, if you haven't exercised in 2 years, your muscles are not going to be as strong as they were 2 years ago. Your physical muscles and also those mental muscles. So I would say, yes, that can be your plan going back into it. But I would say that like, give yourself some grace and flexibility to eat more often if you need to, add an extra meat, have some chicken wings occasionally. Like give yourself a little bit more flexibility in the beginning until you kind of like get yourself back in that groove as well. So yeah, if you did do extended fast OMAD, like jumping right back into one meal a day, probably not going to be very fun. I don't really recommend that because you are just, it's going to be physically harder for you and mentally harder for you. And I think in order to set yourself up for success, you should just kind of like go back to what you're doing before, but like don't, realize there's going to be like an adaptation period or a ramp up period again. Do you still use the Ninja Creamy that you had in your kitchen for a treat? No. We used it, so I still have it. I will say that my kids have braces now, and when they get their braces tightened, they kind of live on like protein smoothies, or I will make a little protein ice cream for them. So it's not even like in the kitchen. It's like we store it in the garage is probably how how rarely we use it. I cannot be trusted with this. I do not need this in my life. So personally, it's easier for me to have none than to have like occasionally or some. I personally don't do well with like replacement foods. I do much better with like, it's easier for me to eat no ice cream ever than to eat Ninja Creamy protein ice cream, but not the real thing. But yeah, I will say this is a total side note as well. The Equip sale, I can put the link in this description of this. Today's their last day they're having a sale going on right now for their protein powder. We use those. I mean, I use protein powder a lot. I think the question, I lost my spot here. The question is like, does Ninja Creamy protein ice cream negatively affect you? And does it help you hit your goals? Like, is it going to cause you to spiral? Is it going to make you gain weight, overeat, like all those things? For me, probably. So I keep it pretty rare. My kids still do it occasionally. Like I said, it's kind of like a fun treat for them and it's a way for me. They have a protein smoothie for breakfast. We do protein pancakes that are pretty soft. We do, a lot of eggs when they get their braces tightened. And then, protein ice cream occasionally. So it's pretty rare that we do it. And honestly, if we've made it in the last year or so, then I try not to eat it. Okay. I think that's about it. What else do I got? It's hot. I get all worked up when I'm, when I go on a rant, I get all crazy. Okay. I'll pop in and answer a couple of quick things. I am on vacation next week, so I'm not going a live stream next week on locals. But after this, my travel is winding down. My super busy season of travel for my corporate job is winding down. So I will do a live stream every week in locals. Like I said, it's free to join if you just want to kind of be a fly on the wall and observe. But if you want to participate, post your own stuff, it's like a Facebook group, but not on Facebook, then you can join. It's $10 if you want to be able to share, post your food for accountability, ask me questions. Obviously there's people I know Kim is in this chat. She's so smart and always a lot of people from the group I see in here are over there and are really helpful as well. And I do a live streams in there a lot of times on Mondays, or to be honest, we mix it up based on what my schedule is for travel schedule is for work. So yeah, if you have any other questions for me, you can pop them in there. I'll probably come back here next month. I'll be honest, I have recorded no videos yet for March. I was hoping to do one before we leave for vacation on Monday. So we'll see if I can think of a topic to talk about. If you have any requests or things that after tonight that have sparked your mind that you would love for me to do a video about, feel free to let me know. And yeah, we'll see you on the other side. Hope you guys have a great weekend. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.